right, so we heard procrastination is scary, but I was going to tell you that I'm really excited to talk to you about procrastination now. And I come with a controversial proposal. I advocate that we should procrastinate more and build this into our work intentionally. You just broke my presentation. I expected puzzled faces, but there might be one person that wonders why should we procrastinate. So this is for you, because it might, speed. Now you've really thrown me. This audience loves procrastination. So you might be wondering why I advocate for procrastination. I mean, it is defined as intentionally and necessarily delaying a task, right? It's something we need to be done. Why would we be putting it off? And if we think about the speed of change in our world, in our work, and especially around innovation, we need to be quick to market, quick to creating value. And if we think about what procrastination feels like, for me, it feels uncomfortable. It makes me feel anxious, stressed, and guilty. And often I have this negative self-talk that I tell myself I should be done already when I haven't even started yet. Raise your hand if you feel similar about procrastination. Lots of hands are down. Please tell me your secret after the talk. Oh, yeah, by the way, this is what I look like when I'm stressed about procrastination. But procrastination can feel different, too. It can feel relaxing, mindful, and focused. Just like in this picture here, floating in a boat on a river, relaxing, instead of doing the work. Or is it really not doing the work? Albert Einstein is said to have been doing exactly that when solving hard physics problems. And there's also a lot of science that shows that when we are idle, we are more creative. When we don't stare the problem in the face, we have better ideas. Stepping away from it increases our creativity, and we're able to solve those hard problems. So, to the observer, it looks as though that Albert is procrastinating, but in reality, he's hard at work. And that's one of the challenges that we face as product leaders, the expectation around what making progress looks like. We're expected to look busy when creating impact. And then there's the question of timing, right? We have some advocates of procrastination in the room, but how do we get that timing right between action and going slow, taking time to think? And all these things make it hard for us to be comfortable with procrastination. It creates that tension within us, but also with our stakeholders and our environment when we look at this topic. But we need to find ways to be comfortable with procrastination and help our stakeholders be comfortable with it too, because without it, we will limit our impact. We will be less creative, unable to solve those hard problems, and we will create risk for our product and be slow to creating value if we manage to do it at all. And I'm going forward already, but I still see some puzzled faces. Actually, they're more blank, like chalky white blank faces. You don't believe me yet. That's why I bought a story. And this one here, around rushing into building something, that preconceived idea. And that can happen to us during the discovery phase, but also during delivery. And I've experienced a situation when working for an automotive company on one of the systems that manages the entire process from building to delivering a car. and the team in my story worked on the product information, how it gets managed internally. For one of the features, they raced ahead without waiting for design. The designer was spread across multiple teams and not available yet. Now, the development team, they were motivated and probably also under time pressure, so they rushed ahead based on what they understood from the Jira ticket, only to find out 8 weeks later that what they had built does not meet user needs. The team thought the solution was obvious when it wasn't. What that led to is that it had to be thrown away, and they had to start again. Now, great things happen when we procrastinate. Imagine that development team would have waited for design for a few days. And waiting doesn't mean they do nothing. I mean, yes, they wouldn't be writing code, so this makes some stakeholders and colleagues uncomfortable, but they could have used that time to deepen their understanding of users. Maybe even joined a few research sessions, observing, asking questions, building empathy for the user. Now, a colleague of mine shared, and he's a software developer, how valuable it was for them to join those sessions, and how it enabled them to make better decisions on the technology side because they understood the impact it will have on users. So, delaying the action of rushing in and writing code enables the team to build better product. But it also enables the team to be faster. And now you're probably thinking, okay, Sabrina, you're crazy. But I had a feeling you won't believe me, so I drew a picture of it. Top line. The team rushes in. They get it wrong. They start again. And the second line, the team waits. And they end up being faster. So what this example shows us is that procrastination is really important for us to include in our work. That by delaying the action of rushing in, we're able to build better products faster. Now, I assume you're like on the edge of your seat saying, great, I know why, now don't torture me anymore. I want to know how. How can I now include procrastination intentionally in my work, and more importantly, convince my stakeholders that they should be okay with that? One of the things that I always start with is clarify the situation. Are we, in crisis mode, where we have to just rush forward as fast as possible to stabilize the situation? Are we solving a new problem that we haven't solved before? Or it's a known problem, but we're solving it in a new way, where we need to experiment to understand how users will react? Or, that third scenario, is it a problem that we have solved many times before, or others where we can use good or best practice to move forward? Now, we need to clarify the situation, because whenever we look at it, all of us will have a different interpretation of what we have in front of us. I might be having a panic attack because I think we're in a big crisis mode, and you say, Sabrina, don't worry. We've solved this many times before. Relax. We have a solution. So you might think, really? Is that so obvious? I brought another story to share that we can really look at different situations differently. So think about the checkout process of an online store. That's been a solved problem many years ago. We apply best practice to get to something pretty good. Now, Amazon decided to look at it differently, as an unsolved, complex problem. So they experimented, and it led them to invent the one-click checkout. Before that, we had to jump through many hoops entering data. Amazon solved that. So what this example shows us is why it is so important that we align on how we're looking at that situation and how we intend to approach it. Now you may say, okay, that's really interesting, but what does that have to do with procrastination? Well, I can tell you how it helps me to create that space for procrastination. By being aware of those three categories, I can now recognize the situations when we talk past one another. Ever experienced that? You're in the same room, actually talking to each other, but not really. I am now able to diagnose that and see that when it's happening. Now, then, as a next step, I'm actually able to have that conversation and intentionally align with stakeholders, saying, hey, it sounds like you need or expect an expert to apply their knowledge to this problem, but we've never solved it before. Let's take some time to experiment and de-risk the product. So you can do this too. To create the space for procrastination, first clarify for yourself, how do I look at this situation? Then go and talk to your stakeholders and find out how they look at it. And then negotiate and decide together which parts of the product you'll say, cool, here we're going slow, we're going to explore and experiment because we want to create something unique that differentiates us, and which parts of the product we will apply best practice to get to market quickly. Now, once we've created that common understanding, okay, we will spend time to procrastinate, we need to pair that with the time box. It makes our stakeholders feel comfortable that it will not take on forever and gives us the focus to move forward. Now, we can apply this on an individual level, and one way I love to do that is take 1 day a week, every week, for deep thinking time. My email is switched off, Slack is switched off, I'm offline. And I'm probably not even in the office to avoid interruption. And my ask is that you do that too. I hear giggles, slight discomfort, pale, chalky faces, white like a sheet. But let me ask you a question. Do you go on vacation? You do, wow. Do you sometimes get sick? Yeah, me too. Or take care of your sick child? So we can take time away from our team and take that time box to focus on deep thinking time. And when we do, it enables our team to also step up, develop new skills in leadership when we are not there. So the benefit of that time box is that we get that thinking time, think deeply and strategically, but it also enables our team to develop their skills and accelerate their impact. So even when it feels you can't take that time box, give yourself permission to do so. It has a positive impact for you and the team. Now, finally, with the time box, we need to do something else. It needs to be paired with, well, there's a fancy word called obeya room. I wasn't going to start with that, but it's a Japanese word for big room. And it helps us make visible all the things that are happening within our time box. And by doing that, we protect the time box that we negotiated. Ever been in the situation where a stakeholder, I don't know, wakes up in the middle of the night panicking, what's the team doing? I haven't seen anything. And then the next morning, with that panic, comes and talks to you? Making things visible using an obeya room helps prevent that situation. Now, the way I like to do it is get myself a big wide room with chalky walls, and over time, as the time box progresses, turn this into this magic, rainbow, sparkle space where everything that we're learning during our discovery is pinned onto the walls. Our experiments, our hypotheses, our learnings, sketches, prototypes, ideas, feedback from our stakeholders. We make them visible and structure the room intentionally so that they can follow the story. And I love to remember one of the discoveries I was in for a client where they just happened to walk past the room in the corridor. And I sprinted out, grabbed them by the arm, and pulled them into the room. And that's when their eyes light up. And they get involved and excited around the work that we are doing. So creating that visibility is key. And you might say, okay, Sabrina, rooms, isn't that something of the past? Well, you can use a digital whiteboard, not my favorite word, but that's what you can do. And I have a story that shows they work too. Even in the digital space, that Obeya room helps to protect our time box. One of my clients shared really excitedly how much they loved hanging around that digital whiteboard in their lunch break, every day at lunch. Just seeing how things were moving around, and they were so excited just seeing that the team was making progress and helping them solve one of the big problems that they had. So make things visible. It helps to protect our time box. Now, if we want to procrastinate intentionally, these are the 3 methods that we can use. Clarify the situation for yourself, align it with your stakeholders, and then negotiate that space for procrastination. Set that time box to make your stakeholders feel comfortable that you take that procrastination time, and then make things visible with an Obeya room or a digital whiteboard, showing progress as things move to protect your time box. Now you might say, Sabrina, I'm not comfortable with procrastination. Then I would say, yes, I understand, but if we fail to procrastinate, we will limit our impact. We will be less creative, we won't be able to solve those hard problems that we look forward to solving. We create risk for a product and might never be able to create that value that we're trying to bring for our company. So go slow to go fast. Procrastinate more. Build it intentionally into your work and amplify your impact. Now, I would love to know, especially from the people who didn't raise their arm earlier about feeling bad about procrastination, how do you navigate that space? So please connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you're interested, listen to the stories of product leaders that I capture on my podcast about all the things that can go wrong, but also all the things that make us successful in creating better products. Thank you.